right. Is my audio set up correctly? I think it is. I forgot to actually double check. Okay. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to Lord of the Rings Online plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we made some improvements to the Festival Buddy 2 plugin because it is currently Yule, as anyone who is here for a little Redhead stream will know very well. So we made a performance improvement where we didn't try to build up the barter window until someone actually asked for it. And that actually was a noticeable difference in how long it takes to load Festival Buddy 2. And then we made a timer to keep track of how long it takes to do a wrapper quest. So today we're going to work on a visual representation for how long the 5 beggars in Winterhome will be away from their locations. But first, I'm just going to go ahead and run, do kind of a speed run of Yule in case it gives you any inspiration on how to do this yourself. So what I'm going to do, I've just logged in here with Affodil, my main over on, I'm going to say Treebeard, but that's not right. Over here on Perry or Peregrine. So I tend to leave it in the I have completed it position. I do want to remember to hit reset this quick guide so it repopulates all of the objectives. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide my plugin window for right now because we're not going to be developing until after this. So one thing that is new for this Yule is the Season of Virtue. And so I tend to try to do that first because then I'm like, oh, am I gaining on the right virtue? Let's take a look at that. And that doesn't feel like it should count against the wrapper. That's a different thing. Okay, I'm earning on patience. Hopefully that doesn't take very long. And then we come on in here and cool. Okay, so I'm maxed out on patience. Let's go. Yeah, Pamela says hello, hello, and yes, R.I.P. Treebeard. So sad. Let's go ahead and max out Valor next. Okay, cool. So we are here. If you are someone with a Fateful Toolkit, now's a great time to go ahead and grab that so we can equip that. And we'll go ahead and just start going through the list. First, we get the wrapper. We can see that starts the clock on our quick guide. There's almost always a wait for Barrett, so if Barrett's not actually there right then, I just move on because Ted Ives is usually there. Ted Ives has a shorter respawn period most of the time. Now, if Barrett's being chased off because of a job, it's maybe half the respawn rate of maybe 20 seconds instead of 45, but you know, you just don't know unless you were there for it. And statistically, most people are chasing him off, not giving him a job. Okay, I can see down there Bill Hyde isn't there, so we're just going to go ahead and move on. So, activating the stash of fireworks, that means I can come on down here and queue up these 8 patrons if I've positioned myself well. And then if I need to do something, like maybe now I go grab my Fateful Toolkit, I definitely will go ahead and remove all these quests I'm tracking except for, oops, should have had it open, moving them off. I want to keep track of which ones I still need, Barrett and Bill. Any other notifications, you know, take a drink of water, whatever. You've got a good however long to stealthily steal all these coins. We can see we're coming up on number 7. Doesn't really matter if they're dancing or looking at the fireworks. You can still do it. You're very effective. Then I go ahead and grab these 4 quests right here because tidying them up is going to give us a way to kind of prolong, to wait for these beggars to respawn if necessary, while still doing something effective. So we're going to go over to Bill Hyde over here, but if someone got to him before I did, they were moving them off, so since I already had the quest window open, that was okay. Yeah, if someone else moves them off, then I know, oh, okay, I've got to wait. Barrett is not there, so we're just going to go ahead and do something else productive while we wait for Barrett to reappear. There's Barrett. If you got any speed buffs, now's a great time because 50-50, they are going to be moving them off, and you don't want to miss out. Okay, that was all 5 of them, so we're going to go ahead and turn that in so we can start the next set of them while we're tidying them up. Pamela Ella says, can you pass the Fateful Toolkit from character to character? And there are other words there, but I'm going to go ahead and look at the screen here for a second. From character to character on your own account. It is bound to account, so, someone else is just ahead of me, so I'm going to go ahead and delay here to give them some working room. Yeah, it's bound to account, not to character, so obviously, well, perhaps not obviously. So you have to use it within a server, but I just toss it into shared storage whenever I'm done with it, especially during a festival like this. And we should expect, there we go. I'm stuck behind a table. Alright. So, we are just giving coins, so we don't have to worry about spoiling anyone else. We have to worry about other people spoiling us by driving them off. Okay. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to accidentally dismount. I'm going to go back to the front so I can keep an eye on the last two, Barrett and Ted Ives. So yes, that is actually one of the other plugins when it's not festival time I'm working on is just a quick little reminder thing. It checks to see if you have the Fateful Toolkit, if maybe you forgot to put it into shared storage before you logged off, or you haven't equipped it yet, so you need to pull it out of shared storage. All right, Bill Ives is there. I'd love to finish that off. Sorry, Ted Ives. Now, I didn't get a chat message, I don't think, on when Barrett was driven off, so I don't have a solid sense. Oh, he is back. Don't do it, no! Okay, so we can look at the timer here. That was just after 4 minutes, so we should expect Barrett to be back at just before 5 minutes. There's about 45 seconds-ish if he's driven off, because it's such a long walk out of town before he can despawn, and he can't respawn before he despawns. So we're going to get going on table number 2, or set of tables number 2, location 2, while we wait for that. I think I can get probably this first table, maybe one more, and then I'm going to reposition so that I'm right there when Barrett is about to spawn in. Cafe B says, it is nice that the Fateful Toolkit also works for Bingo Boffin badges. Yes, and also in-league and Ale Association, which is very valuable because you're normally... Oh, he came a little bit faster. You normally only get one of those per. Okay. I'm going to leave town. You only get one of those per completion of the quest, but plus 10% is 1.1, rounded up to the next whole number is 2, so you double each of your in-league and Ale Association badges of taste and badges of dishonor, which you can turn in for festival tokens when you can get into the in-league headquarters. Or Ale Association headquarters, I think. Oh, let's grab some sticks while we're here. Must face them. So, we're at about 5.5 minutes in here. My dream is to finish it in sub 10 minutes, but usually it tends to drag out to 12 or 13 minutes just because either I'm doing really well in the beggars and the Grumpwood is just super populated and there's not a lot of ents to take out, or trolls, wood trolls, I should say, or for whatever reason. So I usually get delayed on one of those two. If both of them go perfectly well, then I can hit close to 10 minutes. But mentally, I think, okay, it's a pretty close to 12, 13, 14 minutes. Plus logging out and logging in time to the next character means I can do about for an hour, give or take. Alright, we're going to come out to the Gruntwood. I already see several people here, but I also see some trolls that are just standing around, and that's promising. That means there might be currently more trolls than there are people hunting them. So we're going to go ahead and take them out. I'm here as a minstrel, which means I don't have any inductions, and all of my things are ranged, bar one. So minstrels are set up to do really well in the Gruntwood. Uh-oh. I am, however, short one, and there are other people here. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, other people. If I'm just getting here and I see other people seem to be be getting here, I'll try to throw out a fellowship invite just so we get dual credit on some of these defeats. Look at me getting delayed in the Grumpwood. I'm going to mount up just so I can reposition a little bit faster if I see one spawn. And I'm just moving the camera angle and tabbing around. As soon as I see something, I'm going to dismount. And there we go. Moving right along. I kind of wish they would implement a similar underlying algorithm to the Grumpwood as they do over on the Frozen Lake, because those Grims respawn super fast. and they have a negative effect that affects anyone, which it's kind of annoying. So I feel like the Grumpwood would really benefit from, oh, there are 0 trolls or fewer than 5 trolls alive. Okay, they're all back. That'd be nice. But we'll go ahead and take advantage of the fact that the winter weather is here. Finish up cold as ice. Sadly, minstrels don't have much in the way of movement acceleration abilities. All they've got is Call of Fate, I want to say. Call of the Second Age, which has a temporary 10% run speed boost, which is hardly worth it. It can make a little bit of difference in the Haunted Burrow, where a fraction of a second can make the difference between being tripped by a secondary trap or not. But out here in the open expanse of the snows, it doesn't feel like it does very much. Alright. We've taken advantage of the fact that you do not need 3 separate Yetis to cheer at. You can do all 3 at the single one. Though do watch out, some of my characters will deselect the Yeti after the first one, even though I don't think I've pressed anything. I feel like my champion maybe, and a couple others. And so just do make sure that you are selected on the Yeti for all 3 of those. By the time you realize you're not, if you're not careful, that Yeti will have entered the walking animation, at which point it is too late to cheer at them. So just something to watch out for if you're bipping back and forth between a lot of different characters. It seems to be class specific in my limited experience. There's 5 people from Master of Dungeons joining us. Hello, anyone who is coming from that direction. We're just doing a little bit of Yule here before we delve into the Festival Buddy 2 plugin. So I like to turn in the daily here as well as Guard Kembers, because that daily is going to give you a bag, and that bag can contain festival tokens, and if it does, I want my Fateful Toolkit to go ahead and be boosted by it. I just remembered we never did finish off donating a token to Barrett. However, we're ahead of schedule here, so I'm going to go ahead and keep going and hope that the next time we come around that Barrett is there. Alright, so tidying up can be done kind of anytime. So like I said, I like to use it as a way to just kind of push off the tempo of the quick guide. So, oh, a beggar isn't there that I need to donate a coin to. Cool, let's go tidy up for 30 seconds and then come back. And there's enough tidying up that usually I can finish off both rounds of all 5 beggars before I'm done tidying up. It's not always, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, but usually. Okay, getting the keg, and let's go. The guard has some very weird properties, like when it stops moving, it stops seeing things. So we're going to wait for it to get all the way here, and its eyes are closed, and we'll just run past. It's only while the guards are moving that their eyes are open and they can spot you, and they don't have a very large line of sight radius to work with. Alright, we're done with everything except tidying up. So, we don't see a Barrett ring over there, so I'm actually going to do a little tidying up and keep an eye for that ring. Because what we want to do is get a sense of if Barrett's not going to be there now, when will Barrett be there? The answer is, it might be a while. Oh, I've already done some of this table. Usually there's way more here. Oh yes, while I was waiting for this to cycle. Okay, let's go take a look at Barrett. And if not, let's go see if that table number 1 is available. Okay. Barrett's walking. Let's come back in about 30 seconds. Give or take. Now this table will finish us off for tidying them up. But we still need to fill the field, so we still need to leave town, go out and do that. So if I mistime this and Barrett is still not available, I'm just going to go build a snow person instead, cycle back around, and hopefully catch him on the next one. Alright, Barrett just respawned. Don't touch them. Don't drive them off. Don't. No! Okay. So we're looking for about 45 seconds. And so about 15 seconds after, 13 minutes, 15 seconds, give or take. And I'm hoping that's going to coincide well with the building of a snow person, except there's no snow piles because the field is quite busy. And this is something I've noticed much more during this festival than any previous festivals, is that it's very possible for this field to get saturated where there's no available snow piles for you to build your snow person. And it certainly wasn't a problem on Treebeard, but never a problem on any of the other servers I've done this on either. But higher server populations just kind of sneak their way through. I want to click on Barrett. I'm a little worried that if I leave, I won't be able to get that done, and I'll just be waiting the next time. So I'm going to wait on Barrett here. I don't want to wait too many seconds, but that is the nature of it. Alright, and the eating competition is just getting started.
It's a sorry day.
Okay, there we go. So, come on down, turn on tidying up.
What is this World Cup?
So we saw there, we had numerous delays. We were, in fact, a little bit delayed on getting both moving them off and a charitable spirit done. We had to wait a little bit for a field to come available, and we're going to finish this just under the 15-minute mark. So that's kind of a long session compared to some of the other ones that I have been able to get done. So that's why in my mind's eye, a trip through Yule is 15 minutes or less, and this had multiple inconveniences stacked up on top of each other. So that's a 15-minute Yule. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch over to another character that has not done Yule yet, and then we're going to go ahead and start doing the plugin development part of the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. Maybe open up Excel here so I can track that I have done this character. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to pop in with, let's say, a hunter. Just for a little variety. Instead of playing a ranged DPS class, we'll just pop in with a ranged DPS class. Perfect. Less screaming, though. So, what we want to do is we want to just hang out, give or take here, because I want to hear the vocalizations of both Barrett Noel and Ted Ives over there. And I think this is a place where we can do that. So I'm going to go ahead and remake my plugins window here, but I'm actually going to pop open a new one, and we're going to go ahead and call this Say, just to remind us what it is, because we want to have the Say filter in there. And that's it, really. So what we want to do is keep an eye on things that those two are saying. And I want to go ahead and clear whatever notification this is. Yes, request. Cool. Now, this is slightly dependent on people making them go away, but it usually happens. So, while we're waiting for that to happen, let's go ahead and pull up our issues that we are looking at. So this is going to be under D Tracker. No, that's the wrong page. Festival Buddy. So we're going to go ahead and go over to Festival Buddy GitHub page and come on in for the issues that we're tracking. And what I want to do is add timer for quick guides. Oh, that's done. Neat. Close that issue. Other issues. Add timer window showing how long until a beggar will return. Great. So we can see Barrett Noel was shoved off or moved off at 7:59:19 local time. Now, mentally, I know that that's around 40 to 50 seconds until they come back. I want a little timer bar that kind of goes in one direction or the other. I don't know if I have a sense of that yet. So I want a window. I want up to 5 timers on it. I think I just want to make it a nice built-in window for now that I can just move easily. But I could see making it something a little bit different later, a little more minimalist. From here I can actually see Jack Judson as well. That's excellent. Cool. That's a great place to be. So, Jack Judson. The bear says marvelous news. I can hardly believe my ears. Excellent. I've been trying to make sure I have direct copies from the game instead of just stuff from the wiki. Okay, Barrett's just been moved again. And what we can see there is Barrett was probably available for a while because there was a good minute and 42 seconds. So we can expect that Barrett was sort of sitting around waiting. And that's good. That's good information to know. Okay. Let's make a new window. And we're not going to worry too much right now about options, about saving its location. That'll come kind of naturally as I get tired of it not respecting where I want it to be during testing. So we're going to go ahead and bring up our source control. Actually, let's take a look at our current working directory. Right now, there are 2 changes. One of them is the debug options, so that's fine. That's great for a working directory. The other one was a test I was doing for changing when the quick guide recommends the festival daily happens. And this is because it was happening at the very end, and what I was doing was kind of forgetting to open up that bag that you get before taking off my Fateful Toolkit. Whereas if it happened as I'm coming through, I talk to her, I go ahead and finish that off, turn in Abominable Snowman, and then I have the bag in my inventory, and I can deal with that while I'm still running around town, instead of having to remember to do it at the end. On the other hand, if it sits around in your inventory, it's no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and stash this change. So stash one file, and this was testing, moving, daily, earlier in rotation. Just a reminder of what that was. So now the only changed file we have in here, the modified file, is that debug option. So we have a nice clean working directory. Awesome. So coming into Festival Buddy, we want a new window. And this is a Yule specific window, but things aren't really divided up that way. So I guess the real question is, we have the Festival Buddy window here. Would it be useful to encode it here as opposed to making a new window? My concern is that I don't really want this whole thing up most of the time when I'm running through here. So I would like this, even if it was available in here, I want it to also be pop outable. Oh good, Barrett Noel says I'm so happy. That was one of the ones I needed. I want it to be pop outable effectively, or visible in 2 different spots more. Let's go ahead and come on in. Barrett Noel says, I'm so happy. Great. Barrett Noel says, I'm so happy. The wiki has different quotation marks. They're using single quotes instead of the 2 single quotes that the game is using. I wonder if Ted Ives has said that. I'm going to scroll up a sec. Ted Ives, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Why did someone give Barrett a job and not Ted Ives? I'm so happy. Okay. Gonna keep an eye on whatever person is giving jobs out haphazardly. But yes, Ted Ives, once I can see Ted Ives' I can't believe it in situ, I'll be a lot more comfortable that I have it exactly right. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a new window, and this will be, I want to imagine it could be a little bit generic. I don't know if there's any other festivals this could apply for. So what we're going to do is call it NPC, um, NPC cooldown window .lua, something like that. And it's in the wrong spot. Let's go ahead and see if we can't drag it out. Cool, okay. So we have an NPC cooldown window. Awesome. How do we make a window? Well, let's go ahead and... Oh, Pamela has to head out. Later, Pamela. Glad you were able to join us. Let's go ahead and look at a different window as inspiration. The quick guide window is a good choice. So let's come on in here, and it's pretty complicated, but we can use it as a inspiration. Still looking for Ted Ives getting his job back. Oh well. Okay. So, when we're making a window, just from first principles, we have two main paths to go. You can go the class-based route, or you can go the not class-based route. Festival Buddies so far has gone the not class-based route. So we can see instead of having a new class that is a subclass of a window that has a constructor, we'll just have a function that creates the window. It's not my favorite, but I feel like mixing styles within a plugin is more confusing than just using the style I prefer less. So one of these days, when I have the time and energy, I'll just convert all of these over to the class-based one, and then going forward, it'll just be that much easier for me to look at it. But in the meantime, function draw NPC cooldown window. And we can see for consistency's sake, we probably want to just call it win instead of window. Again, not my favorite, but that's fine. Okay, so we can see here that the height is adjustable based off of settings. And just to see that working, we can see in here that we can make this shorter or taller, and that does get saved. So if I unload and reload, that should persist, as well as the location of the window. And that makes me think, okay, let's go ahead and come on into the quick guide height and settings, and that's probably going to be in globals. And we'll go ahead and we're in the default settings here, so that'll get populated in. Let's go ahead and create a new section called NPC something something cooldown win, and is it visible? And I don't know that I don't know if visibility makes sense here. I want it to just sort of pop open as long as we know something about one of these. So I'm going to kill that as a possibility for now, and then we'll come back to it. I'm not even sure an adjustability is desirable. I want this window to just be the size it needs to be to show the timers. And it's quite possible we'll stop it from being a full-blown window with the blue thing at the top and the dragability and all that. But that means we have to write our own drag and drop in code. So I'm not quite prepared to do that. But the location, I kind of imagine that it's going to want to start more on the right side, kind of in the questing area. I don't know. Where do I want this thing? In the middle is fine. People can drag it around. That's great. So we have at least some default settings that we can play with. Let's get a kind of do the minimum that we need to get a window on the screen. So do we want to actually use temp width and height? Do we need these? Let's go ahead and rename them actually. Window width and window height. And that's going to be, let's call it 200 for now. Cool. Okay. Let's make the actual thing that is a window. By convention, we're going to call it WNPC cooldown win parent. and that's going to be a turbine UI LOTRO window. If we want it to be bare bones window that we go ahead and do the dragging around and all of that with, then that's just going to be a UI.window. But we want to go ahead and take advantage of LOTRO taking on some of that responsibility, even though the window itself is going to be a little bit bigger because of it. Okay, so we have some sizes, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to copy this because it's a little bit long. Set size, and that's going to be the window width and window height. Then we're going to go and set the minimum width and minimum height. I don't think I care about that because it's not currently in my mind to make this resizable by the player. So we're going to go ahead and set position instead, and this is going to come from settings. This is going to be settings dot, and then this is going to be NPC cooldown win dot something something. Just X and Y? Sure, all right. And settings dot NPC dot Y. Cool. Now, we have a title. We should probably go ahead and make one of these as well. So this is the, not the quick guide win, sorry. Let's see, cooldown win. And title equals that. And this is going to be I don't know. NPC cooldown window, just as a starting value. Cool. Okay. Done with that. Done with that. We do actually need to make use of that setting. So we have this set text, and it's going to be get string of lang dot other dot windows dot NPC cooldown win dot title. Now, the UI here is changing each of these into the string style access. I'm going to go ahead and change that back to the dot style access just because I like it a little bit better for this style of reference. Okay, set visible. No, thank you. We're just going to say set visible to false for now. Actually, no. Debug. Set visible to true. I'm going to set it to true just to verify that we have made the thing. But then, no, not by default. So what we want to do, excuse me, is find out where this is being called. Great, and call this there as well. So we're actually calling this draw the window. Again, this is a historical thing. I don't like draw so much as create. But again, consistency is valuable. Okay, so set resizable equals true. I don't think I need to do that. I think resizable is defaulted to false, but we'll double check. Okay, and position changed. Yep, we should probably go ahead and do that. So, position changed. We're going to go ahead and save off the X and the Y. Global variable in lowercase initial. Yeah, that's pretty normal. I'm just going to leave it. And then the closing. Again, we're not saving off the visibility right now, so I'm going to hold off on worrying about that. On screen is probably a valuable thing to use here, though, because that just says if the saved coordinates would have this be off screen, we should not do that. So we get the width and height of the display, and we figure out interesting, yeah. And we figure out if this thing would be off the screen, move it left. If it's below the screen, move it up, and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and just call that as good practice. Okay, and then inside this thing, we're not going to do actually much right now. I just want to go ahead and set back color to turbine.ui.color.dark green is nice. Just so we can see that we did something. Okay, let's go ahead and reload the plugin now. Just to verify that we have a thing. We do not. We have, in fact, an error message. Let's take a look at that. This is main 401, attempt to call a function that we never imported. That's my mistake. So let's come on into main, and we can see that in the imports, where we imported the quick guide win, we need to remember to also import this other file, mpc cooldown window. Okay, let's go ahead and name this thing correctly for the rest of the project. So that's going to be mpc cooldown win, and we're importing mpc cooldown win. Great. Let's try that again. Okay, it was able to find the function that we were trying to call. Now in line 7, what do we have? Invalid member function call. Well, sure, I didn't actually. That would explain. I was mentally wondering, why is this showing up as yellow instead of blue? And the answer is I assigned it to a function, not a the result of invoking that function. So let's fix that. Come on in, load, and bam. Okay, we have a window, and we can see that the background color underneath all the LOTRO styling is in fact green. So we did a thing. Great. And if we pull it over here, unload and reload, we can see it's saving its position just fine. And if we close it, unload and reload, we can see visibility we're not worrying about, so we shouldn't expect it to stay closed. Awesome. We've made a window. Cool. Next up, we need to be able to populate it with timers. And those timers need to be variable. And the timers, I want them to look reasonable when they are showing up. Let me think about that for a moment. Okay. So we're going to have a label showing which NPC, preferably both the name and the location, just like we do in the quick guides. Although that could be kind of space consuming. But Barrett Noel next to Mara Sandy Downs. That would be ideal. Possibly 2 lines. So Barrett Noel first line, next to Mara Sandy Downs second line. That'd be fine. And then timer. And so I think this is where I would want to create a class that handles both of these in one. And I'm going to effectively do that, but it's probably not going to be class-based. Okay, so label on the left with the NPC name, and then a timer thing on the right. Now, timers, if it's the kind that kind of fills in or empties out, we have to make that determination of what does that look like. I'm leaning towards the timer starts empty and fills in, kind of like maybe the D-Tracker plugin. Let's go ahead and look at what that would be. I want to pull open the LOTRO Plugin Compendium here. So we can, oh, that was the wrong one. The other thing that's plugin C, or LOTRO C. Okay, so we have LOTRO Plugin Compendium, no, not that. This one. So we're going to go ahead and add in deed tracker. Someone reported an error trying to install it from LOTRO Plugin Compendium. So this is also a way to test. All right, deed tracker, load. Great. So what I'm thinking of is these bars that fill in left to right. I'm imagining something like this with the expected number of seconds out of seconds kind of filling in, and that would be the text. And if that's the case, then we can do the marvelous thing of just stealing the code that does this. Just completely nip it from here. So what I want to do is find where in the code it is making these bars. Should be easy. They're all over the place. Let's find out. So we're going to go ahead and open, new window, and we're going to go ahead and open a folder. Can I find a recent? I can. Great. Let's go ahead and do some investigation. Assuming I don't remember exactly where these are, we know in the main window these things appear. And so let's find some plausibly named things. So we can see this is creating the main window, the info bar at the very top, awesome. There's an options button, details, completed oh yeah, that's button up there. The search box. Let's look at the info bar. Let's come in here. This is done in a more class object-oriented way. And so that's why we see dTrackerWin as the name of the type with a function that's been attached to it more explicitly. Okay. Progress row. Okay. Oh, that's the whole row that has things. Okay. So that's the character, a reset icon, overall deed. Hey, there we go. The overall deed progress bars. So this has a background that has that back there. It has a foreground, which is, I'm assuming, yellow? Wait. What's the difference between progress back and progress bar? Don't know. Let's go find out. Our progress back is that. Progress bar. Okay. That's something we have locally. Great. Progress back. Okay. Progress bar. Oh. Yeah. Okay. If I recall correctly, this is there, and then we just lop parts off of it. Awesome. Great. So we can take those. And I should call out, of course, that this was inspired based off of the hit bolt. Let me go ahead and pull this up, actually. In the LOTRO Plugin Compendium, this is Reclaiming hit bolt assistance. So Galahad, this is based off of, strongly based off of the visual appearance of the hit bolt assistant. So if we pull this up, hit bolt, we can see same basic thing. We can see those bars. We can see the filling in. I didn't try to improve on this at all. I loved the aesthetic of it. That was what inspired me to do dTracker. But that means that this completion bar and that background and the basic idea of how to do it completely borrowed from Galahad, who may have borrowed it from other people. But anyway, kudos to Galahad for giving me great inspiration. So, okay, so we have a... And this is something that I would like to do as a class, even within dTracker. Like the fact that we have the background and the progress bar and the label on top of it. That's just a lot. Okay. But this is the basic idea. That's the overall deed progress back and the bar and the label on top of it. So let's steal that. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And what we want to do is have a function that gives us one of those. Function create NPC entry timer. And what I want to do is return a control that has all of this in it. And so what we need is a local NPC control equals turbine.ui.control. And then at the end, we're going to return that. Return that. And then we'll go ahead and generate our documentation. Creates a progress bar. No, creates a row containing an NPC label and progress bar. Cool. Let's leave it at that. We need the name of it, so NPC name, and we need the timer duration. Timer, no. Cool down in seconds. This can vary based off the NPC, but also on their emote. For instance, Barrett Noel, when Barrett receives his job back, he's gone for perhaps 20 seconds before respawning in his location. Whereas if Barrett is moved off, it's more like 40 seconds before Barrett respawns in his location. So we need to base this both on the name of the NPC and on what they say. Now, one thing I don't know for sure is, do they always have the same delay? Like if they always say X, is there any pathing that they can go in a different route that causes them to take longer? But that's a problem for after we have a working model. So we have an NPC name, we have a cooldown in seconds, and from there on, everything should just run. This should be this should handle itself without need for further input. So creates a reckoning and a progress bar. Automatic. When he starts the rows timer. Okay, that's the goal. So obviously we need to nix a bunch of these self dots because we're not using that style of programming here. And that is going to be local. No, that's just not going to be local. And we're going to rename these things as well. But first, that. Okay, so this is going to be progress bar back. Great. And that's going to be local for now. And then register for tooltip. I don't think so. That's too much. Okay, this is going to be progress bar. Great. Again, this is a local, but we're setting the parent to that, setting the parent to NPC control. Great. And this is going to be the progress label. And that also is going to be local to this function. Cool. So those are set. But what we don't have is this thing. It doesn't have a good size. So we need this thing to have NPC control, set size, and we need, since the progress bar is 200, is it really 200? I don't know. Whenever I'm curious about that, let's just go ahead and do a quick little snip. And I really don't understand how to do much in the snipping tool. So we're just going to copy that into Paint. And yeah, just come in here, do a quick little selection. Okay, I am seeing that's just about 200 pixels. Let's come to one that I didn't, cut off. Okay, that is, 199 wide. Okay, now I'm very curious about the actual images. So let's come on in to Documents, Lord of the Rings Online. Oh, sorry, wrong screen. Plugins, Cube Plugins, Lead Tracker, Resources, and what one is that? Progress bar back. Now it's a TGA file. That's fine. So we're going to go ahead and open it up in the GNU image manipulation program. Yeah, that's fine. Because I'm curious if it's actually 200 or is it 199? Like, what am I missing? Okay, so let's pop that in, and we don't need it to be that big. Okay, so image, canvas size, 200 by 18. So we know that progress bar, 200 by 18. That's great. So does that correspond to what we were seeing? 200 by 18, awesome. Okay, so this needs to be at least 200 wide. Let's go ahead and set it to 218 for right now. And then it will obviously not be large enough. In fact, let's go ahead and set up 205 and 23 and NPC control, set back color to be, turbine.ui.color.something, dark magenta. Cool. And that'll show us a little border there. What we want is... Oh, we need a label. Do we have set text? Set text? Not yet. So what we want is, we want this progress label to update its text based off of the timer, but we don't have the timer yet. So what we're going to do is just set the text to progress label, set text to, and this is going to be like 0 seconds out of, and cooldown seconds, something like that. Just a little bit of visibility. And then anything else? No. What we do want though is, and debug, is to go ahead and actually get one of these things going. So local timer, yeah, equal create NPC timer, and that's going to be for Barrett Noel, and that's going to be for 45 seconds. Very incomplete code right now. But we want to say timer set parent to be WMPC that. And yeah, that'll be a good start. Let's go ahead and come into Festival Buddy 2, open that up, and we can see we do have something. It is not correct, but it is something. Now the first thing is that the drawing space of the window, we can see this, it starts all the way up here in the upper left. What we'd really like is something that starts in the window proper and can be the container in which we center everything else. That way everything can start like from upper left 0, 0, but that is meaningful value instead of having to be shifted down. So let's go ahead and do that first. So here, let's put this in the debug section. Let's go ahead and local NPC cooldown control equals turbine.ui.control. And we're going to know that we're doing this correctly by saying that we're going to set the background color of this to something else. Set back color to turbine.ui.color.something. Dark salmon, dark sea green. Not dark at all. Yeesh, that's fine. It's probably going to be blinding. But what we want to do is we want to set the position of this to something. Obviously 0, 0 is not correct. But what we can do is come in here, grab our snipping tool again, just give us access to the pixels. And we're going to get a sense of what this would be. So what we want is ideally something that's around here, give or take. Something like that. So I'm going to accidentally hit page down. If we delete that, we can see we have a pretty good working area there. But how far down is it? We can see that's about 34. We'll just round that up to a nice 35. So we're going to set that position to 35 down. We're going to set the left to 12 over. That's fine. And we need to set the size to be less than the window. So set size, and this is going to be window width minus something, and window height minus something. Filling it in for 0 right now. So we can see we had 12 on the left. Yeebus. That is a very big canvas. Okay, we had 12 on the left. What do we have on the right? Well, that's 21. Did I mismeasure the left? I probably mismeasured the left. That's 24. All right, so let's assume that's about 48, maybe about 50. Let's put the left at 25 and say it's minus 50, and that gives us that margin on each side. Now let's look at the height. Height starts from all the way up here. So we can see on the top we have about 35, give or take. And I think that's what we already said, yep. So also on the bottom, we can see the green extends down to here. And there's another 22 or so there. So 35, let's make that about 50 as well. And let's take a look at this. So we're going to come on in, unload, and reload. And we're going to see that we forgot to parent that control. So it's never going to get seen because you got to parent it. The very first thing I should have done, NPC cooldown control, set parent, and that's going to be the top level window. Let's try that again. Great. So we can see that this is now kind of centered in our window and is the right size for us to be working in to avoid any of the border. And if we ever decide we want to encroach a little bit more on the borders, on that little filigree stuff going around the edges, we can always expand it out a little bit, and everything inside of it will just automatically pick that up. So let's go ahead and say that the timer, we're actually going to set its parent into this new control. And we can see that moves into a more reasonable position. Excellent. And then the timer just has the background colors. So let's sort of figure out what's going on with that. Progress bound back, we're setting the parent to this. Progress bar, set parent to the progress bar back. Label, set the parent to the progress bar back. Feels like it should be the progress bar, but that's fine. And then we're returning the NPC control. So what is going on with this? Let's go ahead and turn off the color here, just in case that's coming on top for some reason. It is not. Okay. We forgot to import the images, so it is failing to look up the images. Great. Awesome. Whoops. So let's go ahead and grab those. Progress bar and progress bar back. We're going to go ahead and pull those in. I'm just looking at progress bar complete. I don't think I care about that because that is representing a 100%. No, I don't think I'm worried about that. Let's go ahead and pull those in. We're going to move them to Festibility 2 or Resources. And then in our, do we have it images? We might. Images. In images. Somehow I missed that exists. There it is. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and, let's see, spring, nice, harvest math. This is not necessarily specific, but let's go ahead and kind of make a new thing. NPC cooldown. And this is going to be, oh, what did we call them over here? Progress back and progress bar. Sure, that's fine enough for now. Progress bar. Okay, and then what we're doing here, that's resource stir concatenated with the name of the file, and that does include the TGA. So progress bar and progress back. Great. What's going on with that? Undefined. Fair enough. Should be in quotes. Okay. So we can reference that now, and that's just within the top level images. And so images, it's not quite right. We need to, do we need to put it underneath there though? This could be a more generic thing. Let's go ahead and just put under progress. Great. So progress and progress. Let's give that a shot. So we go ahead and load this up. Nope, that didn't work. I forgot to actually save the images file. That's gonna cause a problem. Okay. Okay, it's not there yet, but I mean, certainly that was a necessary thing. Um, Setting blend modes. Let's once again go ahead and turn off that background just to make sure. And you know what? Let's turn off the background of this now that we can see that that is correct. Okay. So no, we're not seeing what we're supposed to be seeing. I don't like that dark magenta though, so let's go ahead and turn it to something else. Dark orchid? Sure, that's basically the same. What else are we missing? Positions maybe. Set positions? Yes, okay. So the progress bar is being set to 300 and some pixels off to the right. Don't like that. So we're gonna go ahead and say no, and I think that'll bring everything back in. There we go. Okay, so this is kind of my rough draft of this. But what we also need is space for Ramta for the Riviere. We need space for the NPC name. So we need this to yes be over to some degree, but let's go ahead and set the size of this to. The size of the window was 400, so we'll go ahead and do 375, right? Right, 350. And we're going to go ahead and label for NPC name. Why is my phone making noise? Is it important? It is not. Awesome. To the silent zone to you. Okay. So, we need a local NPC name label. Just NPC label. Turbine. .ui. Do we have a label here? We do. Great. So, NPC label. Remember to set the parent. And that is going to be NPC control. And then NPC label, set text, and that is going to be the NPC name. Now, what I don't remember is if you have a new line in a name, what happens? Let's find out. So we do want to go ahead and say NPC label set size, and we're going to go ahead and say this thing is going to be say 200 over. So we can make the size of this thing 200. And we'll go ahead and set the height to 18 as well. And then this will be, well, that should be 150. 150. And we'll set the height of the label as well. But NPC label, let's go ahead and set the back color to turbine.ui.color.something. Just so we can make sure it's where we want it to be. We'll do a dark green. Have we already done dark green? We probably already have. Alright, that thing can be dark something else. The dark violet. Ultraviolet. Okay, let's see, what else do we need? We had the text with the size, the background color. Awesome, let's take a look at that. Alright, Barrett Noah, that's not tall enough, and we do want it to be able to be. So let's go ahead and set that to a height of 25. See what that looks like. Okay, so we are able, with a new line character, to make that work. Let's go ahead and say next to Mara. Show me that, please. Alright, so Barrett Noel, next to Mara Sunny Downs. Great. We're going to use that as more of the name. And so what we need is Barrett Noel, new line, next to Mara Sunny Downs. That is the text that we're going to use here in our start. Awesome. And then, that's not wide enough. Let's make the window a little bit wider. 450. And so this will be 400. This will be 200. And this will be over by 200. Notice how if we had done some variables here, that would have been nicer. So, if we go ahead and do local NPC label width equals 200, and swap that in here. Then we can also say the position is over as far as the label. Awesome. We can also say that instead of 200, this could be local control width equals 400. So that is here. And the width is that minus 200. That is true, but local progress bar image width equals 200. And we know that is that is this. So fewer magic numbers here. The embassy controls height, 25 there, 25 there. Let's go ahead and make a local row height equals 25. And we'll go ahead and use it in these. But the local progress bar image height, that is different. So we're going to go ahead and have a variable name for this that we use in both of those places. Cool. So that gives us a little bit more of a flexibility. So if I change that control width, we're going to have a little bit more success here. So if I can change the control width, and in fact, let's go ahead and control width equals where is this? Great NPC, great. So we're going to go ahead and do get width, that, and that. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Awesome, that's great width. But what if we change the window width to 550? We can see that the timer is still taking up whatever space, and our label got proportionally wider. It took up the rest of the width of the window. So if we ended up making this, 1050, we can see the label is taking things up, and we didn't have to change anything else. So instead of hard coding these numbers, if we set up some equations that let us adjust them automatically, then we just needed to change the one number, and that just makes life so much nicer. Where were we? 450. That sounds good. Okay. So, Barrett Noel next to Mara Sandy Downs. Awesome. So, we have a usability question of, do we only show timers that we know about? Do we show all of them, but we only show their timers if they're cooling down? That kind of thing. I think what I want to do is eventually have a system where if we know something about one of the beggars or more, then we show their timers. When their timer expires, it is removed from this window. So we have like a list box of these things. And if there are no more of them in the window, then the window hides. So the window is only showing if we know something about one of the beggars. You could also imagine that this would only care if you have one of the two quests involved with them, possibly controlled by an option. So if I'm not working on moving them off or a charitable spirit, then this window does not need to exist for me. So for instance, if Little Redhead declines to do these ones, as is her wont, then she would never notice this window at all. Which might be nice, because I imagine it's going to be a little distracting popping in and out of existence. So I could see some options. Let's talk about some options. Possible options. Show all the time or only when a timer is active. Show all beggar timers regardless of if we think they're, regardless of if any are, if they are active. So, default window only shows when at least one timer is active. Only show active timers. Yeah, I think so. Do we have any other options that I can think of? I don't think so. Okay, we're going to go ahead and leave that. Cool. Oh my goodness. We are already about an hour and a quarter into today's stream. I don't have a solid sense of if I'm going to have the energy to go too long today. So I'm going to make as much progress as I can, and then that will be it for my stream, which has come after Little Redhead stream. And after that, as she mentioned, we are currently scheduled for next Tuesday. So if you're not busy with everything else, you'll be welcome to come spend a few hours with us. Cool. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a lack of an actual timer happening. What I would like to see is that. And what we could do is we could come in for some inspiration on these. These aren't actually with a timer, but I would like to see how self-label progress is used in the D tracker. So let's come take a look at this. So, sets, I think it's just set size. Is it really just that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the progress. I want to be looking at the progress bar. Nope. Not sure what key stroke that was, but nope. Okay, so we're looking for the whole thing here. So this is those. We set the background to complete or progress bar, okay. And then we set progress bar completed. All right, that's a good function. Let's look at that. We have progress bar completed total, okay. We're just setting the width. So we think the full width is 179. Is that a reasonable thing to believe? Let's take a look at the progress bar. And come take a look at the image property. Canvas size. 179. That is a very reasonable thing to believe. Okay. So, let's go ahead and set a function on this thing that we're returning. Is that where we want it? I don't know. We need a timer. Let's get a timer going. So, MPC control update equals function with sender and args, and we want to say MPC control set wants updates is true. And what we need is a start time. So MPC control dot timer start equals, and we were just making a timer. Let's come look at the quick guide timer control as inspiration for what we're doing here. Start time. All right, start time equals turbine.engine.get game time. Great. And then what we want is MPC control dot stop time equals, and this is just going to be simple math. We want it to be X number of seconds plus cooldown in seconds. So update local time equals turbine.engine.game get game time. We might not even have to start this off. If MPC control dot stop time if the current time is bigger than the stop time, then do something. Why are you always dark? Empty block. It's not doing anything. All right, MPC control set wants updates, false. And then, but until then, we want to go ahead and update the width of the control. And there is a certain throttling that is nice to have. So let's take a look at that. Let's look at the update. We have the current time. Yeah, okay. Local current time equals, and we're going to grab that. Local NPC control previous update time equals 0. In fact, it could be the same thing, but update is 0 is fine. Okay, good. The initial width was 0. That's perfect. Okay, so we have that. Local elapsed time equals current time minus NPC control dot previous update time. Wait. No. That's not what I want. Start time. Okay, so we know how much time has elapsed. So we know how full this bar should be based off of cooldown in seconds. Okay, but local update interval equals every half a second is fine. Now this is 179 pixels, so a 45-second timer should have about 4 pixels per second. So the update interval could actually go down to 1/10 of a second, and we'd have a pretty reasonable timer. Let's do that. So if the current time previous update time plus update interval. So we only want to update the width here as appropriate. So proportion. What's the wording that we used over here? We did not. So local proportion completed equals, and that is the elapsed time divided by cooldown in seconds, and that we are going to use as the width. Oh, local pixels equals proportion completed times 179. And all of that we're going to need to be after the definition of some of these other controls. So let's come on in here, and we're going to see the progress bar. We want to go ahead and set width to pixels. I don't know. Let's see if any of that works. Well, the bar is certainly working. We forgot to set up the label, but the bar is filling in. That's neat. Let's go ahead and fill in the label while that's happening. We can drag this up here so we can keep seeing it. So that is good. We want to go ahead and set the progress label. Set text, and we want that to be seconds out of seconds. But actually that can be fixed. Yeah, it's fine. So we want to string.format that,  and we'll go ahead and add in elapsed time and cool down in seconds. Let's give that a shot. Okay. Now, we're not getting tenths of a second. Doesn't seem necessary. But we could do that. We could be formatting this to decimal precision. Okay. I'm a little curious what happens when it ends. I was busy looking at code when it happened, so I'll just let this run for another 15 seconds. And we can see that we're getting about 4 pixels per second, which is what we were guessing for a 45-second timer. I should also turn this down to like a 10-second timer for testing purposes. Okay, that looks really good. I don't think we need any special code to handle the edge cases. Let's go ahead and make this a 5-second timer, just for kicks. Oh yeah, look at all those pixels. Cool. Okay, so we have a bar that fills in. But if it is done, we would like this bar to do something. Now, obviously, we could just hide it for now, but I don't think that's what we necessarily want. I don't know. Let's think about that. MPC control set parent nil. Set. I don't know. Can we clear the parent? If this is another control, it'll be unparented. Well, that's what I want. So let's do that. So if we run this 5-second timer, what I would hope to see is that it disappears. Neat. However, that's not actually a good final solution, because what we need is if we can create more than one of these timers, that when they hide, they can kind of slide up. So what I want to see is why I have so many windows open. What I want to see is what are my options. Let's come on into the documentation for a minute and come look at the turbine.ui namespace. Now, the thing that comes to mind is a list box, because I would like to make a box that is a list of timers. How does this work? We can add an item to a list box. Neat. Let's do that. And more importantly, how do we remove an item from a list box? Remove item. Remove item at. Oh, we can just pass a control to remove it. Okay, neat. Let's make a list box. Now, this is going to go into our cooldown control. And I don't have a lot of experience doing list box, so we're just going to kind of discover this together. So, timer list box. What's the canonical format? Capital B? Yes. Okay. Equals turbine. We know this is a UI.listbox. And good. So let's go ahead and make it coincident with the size of the control that it is in. So timer list box, set size, and we're just going to make it, this thing is get size. Okay. And then we will go ahead and just for testing, timer list box, set back color, turbine.ui.dark, nope, color.dark something. Dark olive green. Did I set the parent? I almost certainly did not. Let's set the parent. Timer list box, set parent, and we're going to set the parent to the MPC cooldown control. Okay, great. We can see the dark olive green there. We can see the thing on top of it. We don't care about that so much. What we want to do is go ahead and say that we can save this thing off to list box equals timer list box. Great. when we create the NPC timer, we'd prefer not to have to do anything with this actually. So let's go ahead and not save off. Instead, what we want to do is we want to add ourselves to the list box. So we're not going to return anymore. List box, add items, and this is going to be the NPC control. And more importantly, when we're done, we're going to remove ourselves from the list box. Remove item, NPC control. Let's give that a shot. Okay. Same look, in fact, but it's gone. But now, let's go ahead and make more than one of these things, and different timers as well. Whoa, I do not like that indent, Sam I am. Okay, so we're going to make that one 5. This is going to be 15. This is going to be 10. Nope. And this one will be 2, and this will be 12. Okay, cool. But we need those. Let's go ahead and bring in those strings for the other ones, just for some variety. Okay, so that's the quick guide strings. So, Bill Hyde is canonically what I think of as last. Hey, little one. Pew. Aha. I know, you thought you were grooming yourself, but you were not. You were getting attacked. Alright, Regina Judson. Great. Wow, that's just not wide enough for what I want to do. Bill Hyde is the last one. Yes, I have that one. Barton is the first one. Great. Ted Ives. There we go. Midway between okay and daily utterage. And then Jack Judson. Possibly some relation to Regina Judson. Number 4. Next to theater entrance. Okay, so we have ourselves, what I'm hoping is the addition and subtraction of up to 5 timers. Let's take a look at this. Cool, we have 5 timers, and when the timers expire, they go away. However, the window itself isn't changing a height. Do we care about this? I don't know. I think the answer is yes. I think we want to start with a window that's as small as can be, which is to say the height of one of these things, which was 25. So we want our NPC control to be the size of the list box is this. Oh, that's set position. Yes, set size. So the window width minus that. So we want the initial window width to be 50 plus, and then something. No, that's fine. I mean height, actually. So plus 50 plus, and we want it to be 25. I don't know. What if it was 50? Because I'm wondering if we can't make everything like jump up and down in size, and I'm also wondering if that would be very disorienting. Only one way to find out. And also the 2-second timer, very short. Let's go ahead and bump that up to 5 and 8. Okay, so when we add a timer, we really want a function. Okay, function, add timer, and that's going to be a timer control. And then function remove timer, and that's going to be the same timer control. And the reason we want this is we want all the mucking about with window and control heights in one place. So what we want to do is this thing here, we want to go ahead and remove timer. And in remove timer, we'll go ahead and put this. And the same thing with the adding of it. So the list box, where did we add it? Right there. Let's go ahead and do add timer instead with NPC control. And move that over here. Now, that doesn't do anything by default. We should see everything work exactly the same here. We didn't, so that's disappointing. Okay, so create a NPC timer. Yep, we're calling that. I'm coming on in here, and we call add timer, and we call add item of the thing that is passed in. And then remove timer for all of those. That is frustrating. What's wrong? Is it the size? It's the size. Right, of course. We didn't actually do the size stuff yet. So what we want to do is, when we add a timer, we want the window height. We actually want to save off the row height. So row height equals 25. And we can use that where we were using the row height before. So row height equals that. Great. So that's configurable in one spot, and we're not hard coding that anywhere else. So we want to go ahead and say set height to get height plus row height. And we'll just do all of that in one row. And then the opposite, when we remove a timer, let's go ahead and set height to get height minus that. Let's just see it in action here. So 8 got bigger, presumably. It was so fast we didn't see it. And then remove. Awesome. Now we can see the green background there. That's not changing, and that's a problem. So what we want to do is include everything. So that's going to be the NPC control. So we want to go ahead and say this dot NPC control. Yeah, sure. NPC dot this equals this, but I do want to go ahead and capitalize that. And then same thing with the list box. Dot timer list box equals timer list box, and we can do the same math on each of those. So this thing set height, and it's going to be this thing get height plus, and let's go ahead and just say local row height equals this thing. Just make it a little bit easier. And then let's make it a little bit easier. Local parent equals this. Local control equals this. And local list box equals this dot list box. And that's just because what I want to do is have this be a lot more readable. So the parent, oh yeah, no, that's going to be list box. Great. Parent set height to parent get height plus row height is going to be the control. Set height to control get height plus row. And then list box set height to control to list box get control get height plus row height. And it's going to be very similar once we're going the other direction. So let's go ahead and set up all these local variables. And we have the list box remove item of that. And then, same thing, parent set height to parent minus row height. And now it's short enough that it fits on one screen, which is really promising for getting it right. Minus and minus. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this off by saying the window height is 50. Window height's too big. But let's take a look at what happens when these timers expire, which is very promising. Okay, that's lovely. What's going on with this? Why is it? Okay, so we're setting the size to window height. Okay. 25. Well, these timers are kind of taking a while to do. Oh well, that's fine. Okay, so window height is that. Window height is being used here. So the MC cooldown, set size, yeah, get size, okay. What if the window height was 0? And let's hold off on creating all of these timers for a minute. We'll go back to 50. Okay. Is that a minimum? What's the height? 1. Okay, that's just the minimum. That's fine. So what we should do is we need a minimum out there. We need to know how many there are. So instead, we should just have a single function. Function update window height. And in this function, we need the local, let's go ahead and get all this stuff. List box, we need to know how many things there are in there. How do we do that? List box, count. Get count, no, count. Get item count. Okay, so local count equals list box get item count. Okay, so what we want to do is figure out what the minimum height of this window is for one thing. Turbine.shell.writeLine height equals, and that is going to be W npc cooldown get height. Let's see what that is. Height is 100. Okay, so the minimum height was 100. Local window minimum window height equals 100. Now this is a problem that is only because we're using the LOTRO version of the window. It has a minimum height, it seems. But if it was our own window, then we control that. This is just because the filigree around the edge presumably gets a little wonky if you start overlapping it with each other. So they just said, no, you just can't make a window smaller than that. But if we don't have a nice looking window, if we just have an empty window to draw on, then we get to control what the minimum means. Okay, so we have a minimum window height if using turbine.ui.lotro.window. Cool. So we know how tall we want this to be, right? We know it's 50 plus 25 per row. Local expected. Well, actually, hang on. These things are different. Okay, window margins equals 50. Okay. Local row heights equals, no, count's too low. Equals count times row height, local window height equals window margins plus row heights. And so then we can set all these. So we have parent, that is the whole thing. And parent here, let's go ahead and do window. So the window set height to the window height. There we go. And then the controls, we want that to be less than that. That's going to be row heights. Let's see what happens if we call update window heights in place of trying to do it ourselves. Also, we will stop needing most of that. And in fact, no longer really makes sense to save off a local variable. Okay, let's see what happens if we isolate the function like that. Well, for one thing, it doesn't work. But besides that, let's see what we're doing here. This is one of the problems with not setting or not committing my changes as I go, even though they're very unfinished, is I just broke something and I'm not entirely sure which part of my numerous changes did the breaking. Oh, no. The part where I commented out all of the creation of the timers. That would do it. Okay, try it again. Okay, so we have 5. Now we can see the text areas aren't wide enough yet. That's a future problem to solve. Oh, that's really pretty. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and kill off those 2 debugs. Don't need them. I ended up not needing the minimum window height. You can always rederive it. Okay. Okay, that looked really good to me, but when we remove a timer, if WMPC list box get item count equals 0, then WMPC cooldown window hide set visible to false, and then when we add a timer, we want to make sure that WMPC cooldown set visible to true. Okay, so just to and then set visible to false we can now kill the debug that says set visible to true. Okay. All right, the window was made visible anyway. And then what we're expecting is, as the last timer expires, then the window itself hides. Beautiful. And if we never created any timers at all, we should expect that the window is hidden. Yes. Awesome. So if we go ahead and create just one timer, we should expect that works okay. Yep. Barrett Noel. Awesome. And then when we don't know anything about Barrett, gone. Great. That is really cool. Now, there is a downside to this tracking, is there's maybe a second delay between when Barrett starts walking and when Barrett says the thing. But there's nothing we can do about that. Unless you're interacting with Barrett yourself, you will get a quest progression that indicates something about the character. You know, Bill Hyde's got chapped lips and he looks very sad, and then he emotes something. So we could queue into those quest things with an extra however long it takes to give us that level of precision. But everyone sees the announcement, and that should be a consistent amount of time, regardless of whether you were the person to interact with them or not. So I think we're not going to overly complicate this already complicated thing by allowing for the quest progression. But we can keep that in our back pocket in case there's something insufficient about the process that we're currently working on. But if you're close enough to turn on the quest, you're close enough to see what they have to say afterward. Okay, so we did want to go ahead and make this window a little bit wider. So let's see if that is wide enough. The answer is nope. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit wider. Close, 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 close. I can see all the closed parentheses. However, I would like it if, at least for the testing purposes here, if we had some extra spaces indenting that, just to show that those are related. Let's see if spaces come through, leading spaces on the label. They do. Okay, good. Now, I'd kind of like to see a little extra vertical space between these, especially if they're just going to disappear anyway. So let's go ahead and make that 30 pixels and see how that works. Yes. So interesting. Theater. All right, let's make that 650. Could also make the text smaller, but it's fine. Yeah, how about 35? It's rare to expect all of these to be on at the same time unless they were all available and you're cycling through to move them off. So I'm not too worried about the vertical space this window could be taking. I'm going to go ahead and put it here. There? I don't know. Oops. It went away. There we go. I'll put it on top. Well, I would run it with it around here. But for testing purposes, I'll put it in the center of the screen. Okay, so what have we done so far? We have created a window that will, when a timer is active, show itself. When the timer expires, it removes itself from the window, so you don't have to do that. And if there aren't any more timers to show you, then the window itself goes away. The last thing that we would really like to do to sort of connect these things together is, if we see something in chat, we want that to trigger an action in the window. And unfortunately, we are running up against the end of the normal-ish 2-hour length of this stream. So I want to see if I can look up what this plugin already does for monitoring chat, and if it looks like there is an obvious thing that we can do there, I'll do a little bit of progress on that, but I don't expect to finish this off on stream tonight. So that's where we are. Okay, so we already know that the Festival Buddy 2 plugin pays attention to chat channels. So what we want to do is see, are we paying attention to /say? We almost certainly are because of things like Farmer's Fare, where we can monitor what the Fat Mayor wants to eat, or wants in addition to the food that they've already eaten. So let's go ahead and close down some of that and that. Let's come on in to chat logger. Okay. Initiate chat logger. If it is say, then filter say. Great. Take me to filter say. This is also in chat logger. If the dance is visible, then we do stuff. If selected as anniversary, then stuff. If it's farmer's fair, then stuff. If it's hobnanigans, then stuff. Alright. If selected festival equals Yule, then handle say chat. Where are we? Frostball? Winterhome. Winterhome beggars. And we want to get that raw text of C message. Okay. Now we just need a function that does the thing. Now, where does that live? That lives in the hobnanigans window. I mean, that could just go ahead and live in the NPC cooldown window. But this was meant to be a little bit more of a generic thing. So let's go ahead and keep it in the chat logger for right now. Function this, message, end. So what we're looking for is, we want to know the name to put on the timer and for how long the timer should run. What I don't care about right now is having a distinct timer. Like, we should never run into the situation where we have 2 or 3 Barretts on there. But I don't want to worry about coding that right now. So I'm going to assume that we don't have to worry about that. And if we do, it's only for like 45 seconds. So that's fine. So what we need is we need a lookup table that says, in fact, let's go ahead and turbine.shell.writeLine chat. And I'm going to go ahead and quote and then concatenate the message and concatenate an end quote. I just want to basically spit out what I get. Okay, so that's all fine. Now I just need one of the beggars to say something. Or anyone, really. Okay, I just said dot. In chat, quote, you say that new line, unquote. Chat, servant says blast of fireworks, new line. Okay, that new line's in there, and we want to take that into account. Servant says, the mayor will never forgive me for letting these goes off early. I think the mayor will forgive you, because we have an unending supply of those things. It's great. I'm a little surprised there's no daily quest in Winterhome for supplying the fireworks. Because you had that over on the feast side of it, where with Ona K you have the eating contest, and then you have stuffing the stuffed to supply food, and also tidying up to clean up after the eating competition. So I guess it's a little weird that we don't have any sort of go get materials for new fireworks or something. Okay, I was really hoping to see one of the beggars get moved off, which is unusual, I know. But we are getting these messages. That's fine. We can continue. So what we need is a structure that says what we need. And for this, MC cooldown win could be the right place. Let's go ahead and at least start with it here. NPC cooldown strings equals, and we'll prefix it with underscore, sure. What we want is to create what we're expecting to see. So, quote, Barrett Noel sells this, new line. If we get that, and so this is a key in the table, then we should expect that this is Barrett, and that is 45 seconds, and we're gonna play around with the timing here a little bit. It's gonna look something like this. So that's gonna be text equals Barrett, seconds equals 45. Excellent. Now, what we really need are those texts to be strings. So, NPC, do we have that? NPC cooldown, we do have that. Where is this going to be? Lang, it's not errors, not festivals. Other? Yeah, it's other. Yeah, that seems like a good enough place. So we're going to go ahead and have Yule NPC cooldowns. That's going to be a new table. And in cooldown, this is going to be labels. So, Barrett, 2 T's? Yep. And each one of these will have English equals something, German, etc. So we'll go ahead and start with this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's Barrett. We have Ted and Ted. We have Regina. We have Jack. And I think the last one is Bill. Bill. Great. So we're going to use what we've already put together up here for this. And substitute in the other language versions of this as I have the time to make them. Whoops. Okay, but that is going to be the text for those 5. So instead, we're just going to be using these now. Cool. So yes, that is going to be Barrett. And we really just need one of these, each of these. So we have Tadeusz says it's just bad. Okay, that is going to be its own thing. Copy this down. It's going to be Ted. Seconds, don't know, but we're going to call it 20 seconds just to start. And we'll just copy that actually. So Ted, now Regina Judson can say 2 different things. That doesn't actually cause us a problem here, but it is meaningful that it might be 2 different paths that she takes. And if that's the case, we need to account for the different timings that could be. Excuse me. So, let's encode those 2 different things. I haven't seen any of the other ones do 2 different ones for the same moving them off quest. Doesn't mean they couldn't do it, I just haven't noticed. And then Jack Judson, so very hungry. Tell me about it. It is dinner time. And we'll update the other values here in a moment. And then Bill. Okay, and that is Regina, Jack, and Bill. Now, I don't think 20 seconds is correct for those, but it's a starting process. So we have the NPC cooldown strings, and yes, this will be just a large table with the various languages, probably, but it could be broken down by language if we needed it to. So this could have a sub thing of English here, but for right now this is fine. So if that of message, then we want to add a timer, but adding a timer is just calling this function. I would like this to not need to take that parameter anymore. Control width. We know what we're trying to do here. That is this thing here. So we know that that is this, which is width. Okay, great. Local control width equals that, get width. Okay, so we're not going to do that, which means those don't need that, which means we're ready to go with just calling create NPC timer from the chat logger, which is to say var local entry equals this thing. What does that entry look like? That was these down here. The entry, so we need text and seconds. Okay. So we're doing entry.text and entry.seconds. Super easy. So if the entry exists, go ahead and use it. And let's go ahead and stop creating the test ones. And see if we can't generate any of these. So what we're looking for is someone to actually move them off. But what I'm curious is, can we generate a say in our debug? I don't see that. Okay, let's do it ourselves. So we're going to go ahead and talk to Guard Kemper, moving them off. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and move them off. And what I'm curious about is actually starting up a timer on, oh, wow, over here off screen. We can go ahead and do this.
It's a sorry day.
Cool. So we did not get the string for Barrett, so that's a problem. But the timer is started, is for the correct amount that we set up for Barrett. And I've got this timer here just to give us a sense. It's going to be pretty close. Okay, we're at 30 seconds. Awesome. Okay, so 50. 50 seems like the right number. So we're going to come on into the table down here and update that to be 50 seconds. Then the text needs to be used as an entry into the Yule NPC cooldown labels. So what we need is chat logger that actually needs to be more complicated. Doesn't have to be a lot more complicated though. So we need lang.other.yule that. So we're going to get string of that dot this in place of that. Let's give that a try. So unload, reload. Great. So let's go off to the next person. So Ted Ives, and let's get my clock back up here. All right, he emotes very quickly, so that's nice. Oh, hey, and we can see Barrett Noel just activated. We're close enough to see that. Though what am I saying? Oh, yeah, the guard. Okay. So 20 seconds was not enough. And this is 1 second behind, give or take. Oops. Sorry. Someone did Jack Judson. I was like, something happened. Is this actually the same 50 seconds? That'd be bonkers. I always thought Ted was faster. Am I not seeing him because I wonder if I'm not. I've had that happen before where someone was interacting with Ted and I couldn't see Ted. Yeah, Ted's there. Ted is a weird one. Okay. I'm going to need to do some testing on Ted. But we can see this window is populating. It's starting to look a little ugly with all the background colors, so let's do that. Colors, dark green, let's get rid of that. Set back color, we'll get rid of that. Okay, at this point, all the setback colors should be done. Okay, let's go do another one. Okay, Regina. And then we can see this window pops up, and Bill Hyde and a different Regina. What's going on with that? I'm going to leave. Why did Regina Judson pop up twice? I must have messed one of them up here. Okay. Text, Bill, Jack, Ted, and Barrett. Okay. I think I need some debugging, because that was weird. So, let's go ahead and say turbine. Yeah. Turbine dot shell dot right line of saw message and a substring would be really nice, but that's okay. Because I don't like that new line at the end. Saw message, starting timer 4, and we want the entry text. Okay. Eventually, we may have to get to the point where there's a distinct timer for each one, but I would like to not have to. Let's come on in and move off Jack. Okay, so saw message, so very hungry, starting timer for Jack. Perfect.
What can I do for you?
Saw Bill hide. I'm sorry if I was upsetting folks. Starting timer for Bill. Perfect. In fact, we're done with moving them off for guard Kemper, so we're going to come on over here.
Why are you bothering me?
And get the quest from Daily Utterage for the next.
Could I speak with you a moment?
So, we can see that Ted Ives was there. I just couldn't see him. Very strange. Alex in chat says, how hard would it be for a plugin developer to create a voiceover add-in for quests for LOTRO, such as the one that they made for World of Warcraft? So, this is actually a question that a couple people have asked before, and I think at least some developers are interested in doing it, both for an immersive experience, but also for language translation. If you're playing, if your native language is not English, German, or French, you might wish to have these things spoken aloud in your native language using automated translation software, or maybe manual translation. The trouble, from a plugin development perspective, is that plugins don't have easy access to know when you are interacting with the quest NPC, which quest you're doing. Like, we know when you accept a quest, but before you accept a quest, you're reading the quest dialogue. And plugins don't know that you're doing that. They just know that you're interacting with an NPC. It's possible to do some tricky under-the-cover stuff to track, okay, which quest does an NPC have, and which quest have you already completed, therefore, which quest are you likely to be reading, and we can present a dialogue that says, read aloud. And you select from that. But a lot of quests have multiple parts to them, and there's not any transparency of, are you on part 7 or part 9 or part 1? And so from a plugin perspective, that's difficult, because if you fall out of sync, if you think you're in part 1 and the player's action part 3, it's more confusing than it's worth. Oh good, Barrett just got moved off. Let's see how accurate this timer is. So that's a problem from plugin development, is plugins don't have in-game access to where you are on a quest or what stuff is showing on the screen. There are ways around this for a motivated developer, but they involve working outside of just a pure Lord of the Rings Online plugin. So the idea of reading aloud quest elements isn't impossible to make happen, but I don't think it can really be happening from within a pure Lord of the Rings Online plugin. Okay, so Barrett should be here. Oh, okay. He came a couple seconds early. I think it might be worth lowering that timer down to 48 and see how that goes. I'm going to go ahead and reload from that. And maybe someone will move off Ted Ives here while we're standing here. Okay. Alex says, I see. I just wish there was something that reads the quest to me so I can focus on the travels, more of a quality of life thing. Absolutely. Alex says, what language is used in LOTRO? Is it Lua? For programming plugins, or add-ins as you would call them in World of Warcraft, yes, those are done in Lua. And that's what we're doing here behind this, under the covers here, is we're doing the plugin code here in Lua. And then Lord of the Rings itself is almost certainly written with some combination of C and C++. Oh, well, let's go check in that. Okay. Saw or there's nowhere for me to go. If they want me to leave, they should tell me where to go. Oh, okay. So she just says two things. Okay, we don't have to worry about if they want me to leave, they should tell me where to go then. Okay. Let's go ahead and comment that out. So I would do a Google search to see if anyone is actually making progress on this from a... Oops. Don't want any of those. Because it's entirely possible some people are making progress on this, but I haven't looked into it. And so, the automatic translations or just reading things aloud, whatnot. People may have made some progress on this. Certainly, there's been interest in the community of developers and players in seeing that happen. Okay, so know where to go. I'm going to leave. They should tell me where to go. Okay, that would explain the double that we're seeing. It's funny. When I'm playing and I'm running through the festival over and over, can't get these characters to stand still. But now that I actually need them to activate their runoff emotes, they're just here. So I'm gonna need to explore this over the next couple of days while I am doing the festival on my mini characters, and get a sense of, are these timings reasonable? But also they're incomplete because the NPCs will also run off if you complete the supporting the poor quest line where you get them their jobs back. Then they also run off, and that timing is different. Good news is, though, I think all characters at the beginning of this festival had access to that, whether that was intentional or not. And so I should be able to do some testing on Mary. I think I actually finished it all on all my characters on Perry, not thinking about this plugin development. But over on Mary, I may still have that available to me. So I'm going to get a chance to be able to demonstrate the timings of that as well. But I think I'm going to go ahead and pause here because this is just going to take some observation of, are they back? Oh, no, plus or minus a second. And I think there may always be a little bit of variance where there's just an extra second or two. So I want these timers to be as short as they can, and that tells you, okay, now kind of thing. Just right-click that area until they actually pop up. And I've definitely seen that. Oh, TEDx, good. I've definitely seen what appears to be people interacting with the NPC before it even shows up on my screen. So I think the game client is definitely going around to each character who's nearby and being like, okay, you can see him, you can see him, you can see him. That's what it feels like. Okay, that 20 seconds was actually really good. Ted Ives is back. Let's go take a look at Regina here. That was 21 seconds. And again, that could be just a little bit of variance. So we're going to come over here to Jack Judson. Jack Judson also feels like he comes back really fast. So we're going to check out this 20-second timer and see if that's reasonable. And then we'll check out Bill Hyde, who just popped up. Yep, okay. So that was off by about a second, maybe. But is it consistently off, or again, do we have a little bit of wiggle room? And then we'll check out Bill Hyde here. If they're all 20 seconds except for Barrett, that would explain why Barrett is such a choke point for these quests. Okay, Bill Hyde definitely feels like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I'm gonna bump Bill up to 30 seconds here, just as a starting point, and then we'll see how much more I need to change it. Okay, cool. But we're making really good progress. We have these timers that are automatically showing up. Still need to tweak the actual length. They go away. The window only shows up if there's a nearby character. And the last thing will be to only care about these windows if we think you have the quests. Or if you have not turned in both of the quests yet today, something like that. And again, if you're not doing those quests, if those quick guide entries are turned off, we should probably not show this window either. So this window is not ready for prime time, but it is ready for more testing. Okay. Well, that being said, I think we've made some really good progress. Obviously not done, but really good progress towards a working window. And I'm really excited to keep on playing around with this and seeing it as I run the festival myself. And with that, that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I hope to see you here next week for New Year's Eve. And until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.